Hi and welcome to Let's Talk, all about books, social media and fun events going on in Auckland. Carole Beu will be in soon to review a good book from the shelves at the Women's Bookshop, and I'll be talking about memes, which happens to be my word of the week. Words and pictures are the stuff of modern life, of course, and Auckland publisher Jeff Blackwell will be along soon to talk about a lovely new way you can publish your pictures. And first, to get your eye in, let's meet James Frankham, editor of New Zealand Geographic magazine, who can tell us about the wonderful images currently on show at the Auckland Museum. Hello James, great to have you on Let's Talk.
Thank you.
Now talk to me, if you will, about this lovely exhibition at the Auckland Museum, which I understand has had enormous numbers through it already.
Yeah, there's been about 30,000 people through in the first month alone, which is pretty extraordinary, and I think it just speaks to the popularity of photography and understanding of wildlife and culture that goes along with it. So it's part of Auckland Museum's inaugural camera season of photography, and it's actually 3 exhibitions that run concurrently. So the first is a exhibition that's been imported from the United Kingdom, a Natural History Museum Wildlife Photographer of the Year, which is the world's best wildlife photography. And that's been brought over to Auckland Museum, and that'll be running for 2 months, and that packs up in about August 26th. Concurrent with that is the local context for that, which is the best photography from ever entered in the New Zealand Geographic Photographer of the Year Awards. And so over the last 3 years, and so that runs at the same time as local context for that international exhibition. After that, then there'll be an exhibition of the best of the New Zealand Geographic from the last 3 years, plus the 2012 exhibition. So it's a little bit complicated, but there's a lot on.
Just let it be known that there's a lot of beautiful photography to see at the museum.
There's an awful lot of photography up there over the next 4 months, right through until the end of October.
Yeah. We'll talk about some of the individual pictures shortly, but just to set the scene, tell us a little more about New Zealand Geographic magazine. I mean, it's been a terrific addition to the magazine scene over some time now.
Yeah, well, it started in 1989 by John Woods and Kennedy Warren, and has continued since then over about 23 years. And it's not focused just on wildlife, of course, but also on society and culture and landscape. And it's a vision or a reflection, perhaps, of who we are as New Zealanders and what the New Zealand environment has been all about. And yeah, it's been over that time has collected an enormous amount of imagery, but part of that recently over the last 4 years has been this Photographer of the Year competition that has solicited material from the public, and so from amateur photographers as well as professionals who have all contributed. And we get 3,000 entries or so every single year into that competition. Yeah.
And it's a magazine that's very true to its founding vision, isn't it? In that it's all about us.
Yeah, I hope so. We try and keep it about New Zealand territory, and that's the widest territory you might sort of contextualise as New Zealand. So everything from our Antarctic dependency all the way through the New Zealand mainland, the subantarctic islands, up into the Pacific and our dependencies up there, the Tokelau, Niue. So New Zealand it's a very, very large country by that measurement, where it stretches all the way from the pole to the equator. And it's an enormous area of land and every possible biome, really, of wildlife too.
Now, the photographs that we're going to look at shortly, so this is from the New Zealand Life section, is it, in the exhibition?
That's right. So there's the Natural History Wildlife Photographer of the Year. So it's a global photographic competition, some extraordinary images in there, and that's one half of the exhibition up at Auckland Museum. The other half is New Zealand Life, which is the New Zealand context, which is both wildlife photography, society and culture, and landscape imagery. Yeah, that's right.
Well, I think one of the photographs a lot of people will see, because it's such a stunning one of a skink on a glorious green leaf. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's right. So that was shot by Dylan Anderson, and it was the wildlife winner, I think, in 2010. Dylan is an amateur. He had never published a single photograph in his life before. He was shooting on consumer gear on holiday with his parents, a young guy, and just took a beautiful photograph and shot it very, very well, and really impressed the judges. So there's this gorgeous looking skink, and the light is sort of pressing through the leaf it's on, casting a shadow underneath it, and it's just popping its head out. It's a really nice, well composed photograph from an amateur, and it just shows you the both technical ability of amateur photographers in New Zealand, but also the quality of some of the cameras that can produce this material nowadays.
Oh yes, it's just brilliant what people can do, isn't it?
That's right.
A fairly average kind of camera. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, the resolution is so high and things. It's really good.
That's right.
Well, we're talking about green things. What about the gorgeous kakapo as well?
Yeah, the kakapo. That was taken by a professional photographer, a guy called Stephen Belcher, and he's. We ran that image in the magazine. Have since published a feature with Stephen on takahe. So you know, a lot of these photographers go on to work with New Zealand Geographic afterwards. Now that particular kakapo has since died of a parasitic infection, I think.
I remember reading that.
That's right, and so it not only sort of demonstrates the beauty of this world's largest, heaviest parrot, you know, that we have in New Zealand, this place that we often think is sort of has rather mundane fauna, but you know, it has dramatic things like the kakapo. And it also highlights the vulnerability of that particular species, you know, because it's the gene pool is so small that these things that can be posterised as heroes of the species one moment can be dead the next. And
we just love the personalities of these guys, don't we? And recently on Twitter, I've been following Sirocco, which is one of the kakapos.
That's right.
Who comes up with wonderful little things.
Yeah,
yes,
that's right.
Which is excellent. But talking about birds, there's a wonderful penguin shot too.
Yeah, that's right. So that's a photograph taken by Brett Phibbs, who won the New Zealand Geographic Photographer of the Year competition in 2011. And a lot of his work is up at Auckland Museum this year. So he shoots professionally for the New Zealand Herald, and he captured that photograph of the penguin lady, Anwyn Standish, out on Rothesay Bay, and she picked up that particular penguin called Hopalong on Muriwai Beach that had washed up injured, and he was sort of recuperating there, but still needed help to walk. So she took him for walks along Rothesay Bay, and people would sort of help pay the fish bills, you know, from the local fishmonger, and
wow.
throw some salmon his way every now and again.
One of the photos I really love in this exhibition is of people gathered along a wavy horizontal Pahutakawa limb. Info about that?
Yeah, that's right. That was shot by Dougal Burfoot. And again, so this is a photographer, an amateur photographer, but a fantastic eye, and he took it while on holiday. So he was holidaying up north, as he has done with his family every year for the last 12 years, and he holidays with a group of 4 other families, and the kids sort of form a tribe, as they sort of tend to do in Kiwi holidays, and they go about and roam as they will, and look after themselves for hours, days, weeks.
That old-fashioned thing of saying, get out of the house, kids, and we'll see you later. Yes.
That's right, you know, and this is a nice way in which the exhibition and the photographs and the competition are a really accurate reflection of New Zealand life and the way in which New Zealanders go about their business, you know, and about their leisure time as well. And you know, photographs so often are both a window into a new world and also a reflection, a mirror back on yourselves, and they form a really important function of understanding yourself as a country, as a society, and understanding your environment well. Yes,
I love the silhouetted nature of that
image. They look like monkeys in a branch, don't they? Which is probably not so far from the truth.
Very splendid.
Yeah.
Yes. And there's another lovely one of people, a couple of really happy old ladies giggling in a doorway.
Yeah, that's right, the Oratia ladies, I think they're called, shot by Derek Flynn down on the top of the south, and they were leaving. It's actually they look like they're enjoying the scene, but it was sort of a sobering time for them as well, because they were leaving a family home that they'd lived in for their entire lives and for generations back as well, in their family. So, you know, again, the ability of photographs to capture a moment in time and to reflect on that later, and for other people to reflect on that when they were there, you know, is really interesting. So these people are moving on, and it was a change in their history as a family, and it was captured by Derek, and that did very well. Now that was for our very first competition. Wow!
And leaping from that to the younger end of life, great shot of a boy waving a Tino Rangatiratanga flag.
Yeah, that's right. So that was Sam Ackland, he was a rookie photographer, I think, for the Bay of Plenty Times, down in the bay there, and up on top of Mount Maunganui for Waitangi Day, and he captured that photograph. He was unpaid. He was working as a rookie in there, and a fantastic shot, and that made the cover of our magazine for that 2010 year.
Fantastic. And lovely ladies dancing at the museum, Croatians, I think. Yes,
yeah, that was actually at Auckland Museum, and that was during a culture festival, and so the Croatian ladies and part of a cultural group there in that cultural festival, and that was shot by Jocelyn Genon, who is a Frenchman in New Zealand and who has a Kiwi partner, and so he's very interested in the role of immigrants in New Zealand, and he has since shot another feature for New Zealand Geographic, and so a lot of these guys go on to, and girls I should add, go on to shoot for the magazine, but it's yeah,
fantastic.
Nice,
and last but not least, that fantastic shot of some people looking at a great storm over Rangitoto.
Yeah,
good lovely shot for Auckland, is it? Yes.
Absolutely. A shot by Brett Phibbs, who was last year's overall winner of Photographer of the Year. And yeah, so he shot it as part of his daily rounds as a press photographer for the Herald. And just a dramatic image of shot as a time exposure. You can see a little bit of movement in the foreground and in the waves, and this magnificent roll of a thundercloud coming over the top of the Moehaua Range over in Coromandel, and you can see it right across the top of Rangitoto, and being backlit by this fantastic lightning storm that wreaked so much havoc in Auckland that same weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And the image is backlit in both ways, which is so interesting, isn't it? Because is it street lights shining on the backs of the people?
Some sodium lights shining on one side, you know, so they're very, you know, yellow and cast the whole scene, this nice yellow glow, and then this dramatic
and you can just stand and gaze at this stuff for such a long time, can't you?
Well, that's right, and enduring the popular photography for that reason, you know, because it captures a very swift moment in time. I mean, that was a thousandth of a second that a lightning goes, you know, strike of lightning goes off like that. But you can stand there and analyse that scene and understand it afresh. And
thank you so much, James. Great to have you in.
Quite all right.
I'm hearing about memes all over the place, so it's got to be a word you're noticing too. I just had it really well explained to me in a site called dailyreckoning.com. Now apparently it was coined way back in 1976 by evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins. In his book The Selfish Gene, he used meme to refer to ideas, styles or patterns of behaviour that spread through cultures and societies. A meme's success, he reckoned, depends on three key attributes: longevity, fecundity and fidelity. For a successful meme, think of the unmistakable ominous music from the Jaws movie. It has longevity because 37 years later we still resonate to that sound. It's got fecundity because it gets repeated over and over again, and fidelity because it's pretty easy to copy. Memes are interesting because in olden times it could take centuries for a new idea in art or science to spread, take hold and become commonplace. But in the internet age, new ideas and symbols and sayings and bits of music can be charging out in all directions to plug into millions of eyes and eardrums in seconds, replicating their little hearts out. 50 Shades of, well, just about anything seems to be the meme of the moment, spinning off from the world's current wildly popular hot read, 50 Shades of Grey. Thankfully, by next month we'll have moved on to a meme that no one yet has even heard of. My next guest, Jeff Blackwell, works out of Auckland but is a legendary publisher worldwide, perhaps best known for a beautiful series of books, posters and greeting cards that featured photos based on themes of friendship, family and love. Now he's in the midst of a new publishing adventure at milkbooks.com. It's an arena we can all play in, putting together tailor-made books of your own pictures to create true family heirlooms. Hello Jeff, welcome to Let's Talk.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Now I remember your books from standing in bookshops and seeing these beautiful weighty things with white covers with gorgeous photographs in them. This seems to be a completely different paradigm.
Well, it's a departure from what we've been doing. I've spent 25 years making coffee table books, beautiful art books and so on, and suddenly about 2 years ago the world changed, and the book industry, I think, has changed forever, in that people now seem more enthusiastic about buying books online than going into bookshops. And that means that the sort of books that I've been making are under threat, and so we're making less of them.
Oh gosh, so this is a big turning point for you really. You must have had to sit down around a few board tables and think, where are we going to go from here?
Well, it's kind of exciting in a way, because you know, it's change. But I still think they have a place, you know, beautifully made books.
Yes.
And I still think a house with books is a richer place than one without. And it's really in response to that we've developed this new website that enables people to go online and make their own beautiful books, really in an effort to keep our business going, but B, really just to respond to this this trend that sort of could see beautifully made books disappearing, and we don't want them to.
It's a really smart move, isn't it? Because we're in an era when everybody's spending more time online and they love to be doing things themselves. And yet at the same time, I think there's this nostalgic hook back to wanting the tactile sensation of being able to handle a beautiful book. And to be able to put your own stuff in it and present it to somebody, it's brilliant. Yes.
Yeah, well, technology is allowing people to do amazing things now. I mean, the new digital cameras are enabling people to be, to take their photography seriously and make really beautiful pictures. And, I want to do the same thing with books. I want people to be able to go online and design something really beautiful that really reflects their taste and their personality and their story, and that's what we've set out to do.
Yeah. Now I noticed on your website you have a little tag called Inspiration, and you've got a really nifty video there talking about how it was your dad's 70th birthday, and, and tell the story.
Well, actually it was the thing that really started this. My family and I decided to get together and make a book for him to celebrate his 70th birthday. He's a very kind of self-effacing guy who's never had a big birthday party. He's never been
Typical
the centre
Kiwi
of
bloke.
attention. He's particularly modest, and we just felt for this event, him turning 70, we wanted to actually let him know how much we love him, and we decided to collaborate on a book project, and he went off overseas and we broke into his house, Mum and Dad's house, and scanned their photos and put everything back the way it was, and we all made a page where we wrote something to him telling him how we feel about him, and we used the images to make a slideshow, and then on the day of his birthday we all got together and surprised him with this book and played the slideshow. And the old boy wept. I mean, we all wept. It was just this really beautiful moment. And I just thought, I mean, the thing, A, giving it to him was wonderful, but B, actually making it with my brothers and their wives and their kids and my family was a really rewarding experience.
And so I gather from what I've read online that all sorts of people can contribute to making one of these books. And you can also have a video right at the back of the book, which is the same thing.
Well, that was the thing. I mean, we've that experience. There were two things that we decided we really wanted to do. One, we wanted to help people to make books collaboratively. So, if I start a book, I can now send a link through to my to anybody, up to 9 other people, and have them upload their photos and put their text in. And equally, we wanted to have video so that there are so many moments captured now on video that people could actually design a book and on certain pages have video floating on the pages on a digital version. On the printed book you just have a photo where the video is, but in the back of the book you get a disc and you can put it on your computer and turn the pages and on certain pages push play and away it plays the film.
It all sounds really expensive.
It's not actually. Well, if it's too expensive people wouldn't use it. So no, they range from sort of $34.95 type books through to the one that you've got in your hand there comes with a slipcase, so that's $75.
Right.
And they go up to about $200 for grand wedding albums, really.
Great big ones,
large format 13 by 11 inch books that come in cloth boxes.
Oh, I can see that being huge, because at the moment people spend a fortune, don't they, with wedding photographers sometimes having a special album made, and now they can have fun doing it themselves.
Yeah, the best bit is that you can be in control of your own process, that you can actually go online if you want to and make it really easily. And the technology enables you to be creative. You can choose your own fabrics and your own typeface and your own page designs and upload the images easily and start playing around.
So each of these comes with a lovely designer fabric on the outside?
Yep, you can. There are, I think, 17 different fabrics that you can choose from. And on photo books, the images get embedded into the front of them, and these come in a range of sizes. There's sort of half-size one and then a large format version. All these are bespoke books, which are our special sort of fabric super-duper versions that can be made either as memoirs or as bespoke photo books, and they come with a sort of slipcase and special sort of pre-populated editorial templates that help people to tell their stories.
And the really special thing is that you have the ribbon in the book too, a placement ribbon, which is nifty.
Well,
and
it's all just the little details.
They come also with this little, you can wind the thread around the button, which is a really special heritage touch, isn't it?
Yeah, we just wanted them to have those old-fashioned sort of little details that really count, that add up into being something that makes it really beautiful.
So the idea is that this is great for birthdays, like you did for your dad, or weddings, or baby books, or your cat and your dog, or your old 1960s Chevrolet, or whatever. You can make a book about anything. Yeah. Anything
that you want to use to sort of showcase your photos or to tell a story. I mean, I'm hoping that people will, particularly within families, that people will talk their parents and their grandparents into actually writing down their stories. I mean, we've tried to create editorial templates that make it easy for people to sort of shape a story. But I think I sort of really feel sad that my grandparents, I only knew 3 of my grandparents and I adored all 3 of them. And there's so much about their lives that I don't know, and that, I know the moments that I shared with them, but I'd actually love to have known what they were about when they were kids, and the experiences that shaped them into the amazing people they were. And I think it's kind of such an amazing gift to actually give to generations coming behind you, to actually record some of the things that have actually mattered in your life and the things you've cared about.
I think a lot of people might worry about how good technically their photography is to transport into print, but I did notice in one of the books you've got online that you've used old-fashioned black and white pictures taken 50 years ago, and the quality on those isn't hot. So presumably as long as you use them small enough, or you pick a template with small enough squares, that they'll print up fine.
If the image isn't good enough, if it's too small or it's grainy or whatever, we'll tell you. We'll give you a warning. But
you mean a little panel comes up on screen to say, sorry, this picture's not.
Maybe use it in a smaller size.
Yes.
But equally, if people just push ahead and use it, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
I mean, a grainy photo is fine if that's all there is.
Yes.
That's okay.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've created design templates that are pretty fail-safe, so you can make a beautiful book. Whatever you put into the boxes, it's going to look pretty good. And if that's the best you've got, better to tell the story than worry too much about a little bit of sort of blur or grain on a photograph.
You'd probably have quite a good market in businesses too, wouldn't you, with people doing their 50th anniversary or whatever, or presentations to clients or whatever. I mean, it's got all sorts of possible spin-offs, hasn't it? Schools, fabulous for school reunion projects and things.
Anything really. I mean, it's anywhere where a book is potentially made, people can make a book.
So typically, how long does it take for I suppose it can take you months to put a book together.
I mean, we've designed it so that if you've got all your material together and you want to make a little 20-page photo book, you could do it, in about an hour. That would be, really easy.
And then how does the printing all happen?
The printing, basically, at the end of the process, you go online for free. You just go to the website and start making your book. And at a certain point, you've got to log in, and that's just giving us your details and saving the material. And you can come back and anytime, as many times as you want.
It just sits there until you're finished.
And when you're finished, there's a button that you push that says pay and print. And we ask you for your credit card details, and depending on the sort of book that you've made, we tell you what it is.
And is there a proofreading opportunity? Because everyone always gets things wrong.
Well, no, you've got to proofread it. You can proofread it online.
Before you do pay and print, you have to proofread.
There's a preview option that that allows you to really enlarge it and read it very carefully. But no, you've got to
make sure it's right.
Unfortunately, that's the deal. It's like, you've got to actually make sure that you've spelt your name right. But when you push pay and print, depending on where you are in the world, it takes between 7 and 12 days to get to your door. So
you're looking for a global audience for this, presumably?
Very much.
Good export stuff out of New Zealand.
No, we're launching it in English language markets this year, but within the next 3 years, we expect it's going to be in around 18 languages.
Wow.
So we're being pretty ambitious about it.
Good luck with it, Jeff, and thank you so much for coming in.
Cheers.
See, we've talked such a lot today about pictures, we thought it would be good to include, as our favourite YouTube video for the week, the footage you're going to see next. In the age of the smartphone, all of us are probably taking more pictures than ever before, but often we fail to see what we're really looking at and what's connecting us all. What, for instance, connects us with the animal world? Take a look right here. And Carole Beu is back on Let's Talk with another great read, hopefully, from the Women's Bookshop on Ponsonby Road.
Yeah, this is quite a special book, Lindsay, actually. Tell the Wolves I'm Home by Rifka Brunt. Now, I've never heard of her before. It's a lovely novel. Basically, there's two girls, early teenage years, who get their portraits painted by their Uncle Finn, who is a very famous painter. They just regard him as Uncle Finn. They don't sort of recognise that how famous he really is as an artist. And he paints a portrait of them together. And they keep this portrait, for the rest of their lives. The reason he's painting it is because he is dying. They don't quite understand about the illness he's dying from, and their mother, who is Finn's sister, their dying uncle's sister, won't really talk about the illness. She has great difficulty coping with it. And you realise, of course, that it's AIDS that he's dying of.
Yes, people did in those days.
Yeah.
It was such a no-no topic,
80s,
wasn't it?
Yes. And it was a no-no topic, yeah, it was awful. At the funeral, at Uncle Finn's funeral, when he completes the painting and so on, and you realise that one of the sisters in particular, June, who is the main character in the story, June has been very close to Uncle Finn. He's been a close friend. They spent a lot of time together. They used to explore New York together. In particular, one of their favourite places was to go to the cloisters in New York. And he took her to lots of art galleries and taught her a lot about art and so on. And they had a really, really close, loving relationship. And so she is utterly devastated when he dies at the funeral. And also that her own mother, won't talk about her brother's death, really. At the funeral, she notices a strange man that she's never seen before, sort of standing on the periphery of things. And he then gets in his car and drives away, but she was aware of him. And a bit later, a few days later, she receives this gift from this man, and it was something, I forget now, I think it was a teapot that Uncle Finn had owned, that she had drunk tea out of in his apartment when she visited him many times and so on. And very gradually, without her mother or parents or sister knowing, she develops a friendship with this strange man who, of course, turns out to be Finn's partner. And he's a gay man, and they have lived together for many, many years and had this long and loving relationship. And what this girl, she's about 13 or 14 now, June, what she discovers is that here is another human being who is as absolutely heartbroken by Finn's death as she is. And so this consolation for both of them in seeing each other and reminiscing. And through the book she reminisces about the times she spent with Finn, and realises that because her mother disapproved and society generally disapproved, Finn used to disappear or be out whenever she visited their apartment. He in fact had been around there, she realises, had been around and in a relationship with her Uncle Finn the whole time. But they had agreed that the only way that this girl could see her uncle was if the partner disappeared.
Was absent, yes.
Yeah. So it's sad. That aspect of it is sad.
Sadness was so much part of that era in the 80s, wasn't it? When
Yes.
so many people were dying, and it was such an unspoken thing. But from the sound of it, it has its heartwarming side as well.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a sadness about it, but the friendship is so positive and so healing for both of them her mother comes to accept it and understand it as well, and Greta, her sister, and so it's very heartwarming and quite a special book, really.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Carole Beu. Thanks for watching. We'll be back again next week.